It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. BTI, your John Deere dealer with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. Eagle Radio, Hull Broadcasting, and HayesPost.com, keeping our community connected. And The Taco Shop. Order by phone or use the Taco Shop app. Dine in, pick up, or delivery. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. Now, Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And a good afternoon and welcome to Tiger Talk. We are live at the Robins Center here in the Fort Hays State University campus. We are part of Tiger Club, and we're certainly glad to have you with us here for this latest installment of Tiger Talk. We'll be chatting with head football coach Chris Brown. We'll be talking some volleyball with Jessica Wood-Atkins and cross country with Jason McCullough here shortly as they get set for the MIAA Championships. We would certainly invite your questions. We've had a few in-house questions we'll get to as the program rolls along, but you can certainly email us your question. All you have to do is go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website, fhsuathletics.com. Click on the fans tab. You'll get the drop down. You'll see Ask the Coach. Submit your question. You'll have a chance to win a Fort Hays State Athletics t-shirt from the Fort Hays State Athletic Department. Let's go ahead and get you up to date with everything that's happened since we talked to you last. We'll start with football. And again, we'll talk with Coach Chris Brown a little bit later on in the show. They lost a heartbreaker Saturday in Pittsburgh to the 7th-ranked Gorillas, 18-17. The Tigers are now 5-3 overall, 3-3 in the MIAA. Senior Day, hard to believe, but Senior Day on Saturday. Final home game, Missouri Southern comes to town. It'll be a 1 o'clock kick at Lewis Field. Volleyball splitting their two road matches. Thursday, they lose in 3 at number 13 Central Oklahoma. Then Saturday, get a hard-fought win over MIAA newcomer Arkansas Fort Smith in 5. So they're now 10-8, 2-7 in the conference. Only one match this week. That'll be on the road at number 3 Nebraska Kearney Friday night at 6 o'clock. Men's soccer went 1-0-1. They beat Newman 4-1 Thursday, then played number 18 Southern Nazarene to a 1-1 draw Sunday. Both of those at home. They're now 7-3-2, 4-2-1 in the GAC. They'll be back at home tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock, Harding comes to town. Then Saturday evening at 6, it's Ouachita Baptist. Tigers are still receiving votes in the latest D2 coaches poll and did have a couple of players receive GAC Player of the Week honors. Elias Ovalar Samayuk was the Offensive Player of the Week, and Marcus Herman was the Defensive Player of the Week for a second year in a row for Herman, both of them netting 5 points in the two matches last week. Women's soccer lost 2-1 to Northwest Missouri State at home on Friday, turned around, played number 20 Missouri Western to a scoreless draw on Sunday. First time the Griffins have been held scoreless this season. So the Tiger soccer team now 6-4-4, 3-3-2 in the conference. They'll host Washburn 2 p.m. at the Fort Hays State Soccer Stadium on Sunday. Men's golf finished 14th at the Washburn Invitational. That was at the Topeka Country Club. It wrapped up yesterday. Shot a 302 on the first round on Monday. Then back-to-back rounds of 297 yesterday. Jackson Rader, top finisher for the Tigers. He tied for 26th at 7 over. Rounds of 75, 72, and 73. The Tiger men wrap up their fall schedule at the Tulsa Cup Monday and Tuesday of next week. The first round at the club at Indian Springs, and then they'll be at Bailey Ranch Golf Club. Women were off this weekend. They'll also wrap up their fall schedule at the Tulsa Cup. They'll play that at the club at Forest Ridge. Cross country, men and women run at the MIAA Championships. That'll That'll be in St. Joe. We'll talk more with Coach McCullough here shortly. Women move up a spot to number 20 in the national poll. Men's and women's wrestling, they had the black and gold scrimmage Saturday night. The women begin their season at Colorado Mesa. That'll be on November 1st. The men in Wichita, the Falcon Invitational hosted by Friends. That'll be November 2nd. And we'll be talking to the wrestling coaches and men's and women's basketball here shortly as soon as we wrap up the fall sports season. And men's basketball, they'll have their only exhibition. That'll be next Tuesday in Manhattan against the Kansas State Wildcats. We'll have it right here on the Tiger Sports Network beginning at 6:30. And a reminder that Saturday is the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame as they induct the 2024 class. And that'll get underway at 9 o'clock. If you're thinking about attending, you need to let the athletic department know. But that'll all get underway at 9 o'clock with registration at 8 on the Fort Hays State campus inside the Memorial Union. Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We'll take a break. We'll talk some cross country. Jason McCullough joins us next here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
He bobbles into the 10-5, touchdown.
Into the edge, and Hayes High's going to win this football game. Johnny Rigler is on the spot.
Fire up the three, and they can hold us. It swirls.
Launches a three, bang, nothing but net.
It's dropped in left field, and we are tied as 5 touchdowns.
He didn't get down. Hayes High wins in overtime.
Two receivers split left, one here to the right. Handoff. Shane Watts up the middle, breaks a tackle 50, breaks another tackle 40, between the numbers 30, foot race 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Fort Hays State. 54 yards from running back Shane Watts, and the Tigers draw first in Pittsburgh. Yeah, some of the action from Kearney Smith Stadium Saturday in Pittsburgh. Tigers come up short, losing by a final of 18-17 to the Gorillas. We'll talk more with Coach Chris Brown a little bit later on in the show. But right now we're going to talk some cross country. The cross country coach for the men and women, Jason McCullough, joins us. Tigers gearing up for the MIAA Championships. They'll be in St. Joseph, Missouri. Jason, appreciate you joining us here again today. Your team's had a little bit of time, I guess, to rest, get ready, and it kind of comes down to the conference meet. Then you move on to regionals, but this is kind of what everybody's worked for here. The next couple of meets, you guys go out there.
Yeah, it's the postseason, and has some real good competition now coming up. The conference is really solid this year.
Yeah, obviously your women have had a great season. We'll talk more about them, but maybe give us a lay of the land, the overview. I mean, there's always great teams, but as you said, it seems like this year may be as competitive as it's ever been.
Yeah, particularly for the women. There are 5 nationally ranked teams on the women's side. So Pittsburgh State's number 10, Nebraska Kearney 17, we're 20, Rogers State 22, and Northwest Missouri's 29th. So 5 teams in that top 30. And in our region, I think there's 8 teams in the top 30. So, they're kind of grouped together this year. The MIAA has some solid teams, and our region does, as well as the teams in Colorado and that region. So, kind of grouped together this year a little bit.
Well, talk about your team. You've been off for a couple of weeks as you last ran on the 11th at the Emporia State Invitational. I know we talked about that. You had great success. Just how you feel about everybody health-wise and where they're all at leading into the conference championship this weekend.
Yeah, knock on wood, doing okay. We're just that's kind of the goal, is to stay healthy and help them to be confident in their ability, and, train hard between the meets. So you say it's a rest week, but we probably train harder during the weeks when we don't have meets. So last week was a pretty hard training effort, and then this week we had a training effort yesterday, and pretty much rest up and do some strides and get ready for Saturday.
I know we've talked about it before, but your approach, you run about every other weekend, including the way it's gone out, and just how you work those practices to gear you toward the race day, be it a Friday or a Saturday.
Yeah, that's kind of the key. You have to look at the competitions you want to gear for, and then you back up and do your training based off of those competitions. So you want to have plenty of rest for the main ones, and then you want to hit all the different systems you're trying to hit, threshold stuff, tempo, VO2, fast, sprints, those types of things. You got to fit all that in without overdoing it. And so that's kind of the key. That's kind of the, I'm kind of like a chef mixing up a soup, trying to get everything to fit together to where it tastes really good on race day. So that's the goal.
And obviously you go, I guess week to week, but every 2 weeks or so. But from the start of the year till now, how has everything changed from what you were doing early on to, because they've got some miles under their belt, so to speak, going into this conference meet and into the postseason. How have you tailored what you do to gear toward the postseason?
Yeah, like I mentioned last time, it's basically just it should be a seamless transition. So the goal is to continually get a little bit faster in some of the workouts, do a little bit less of the longer runs. We didn't do a long run last week, and then try to increase the intensity on some of the workouts, which we've kind of done over the last few weeks. So that's kind of the goal when it comes to the training, is to increase the intensity, maybe back off a little bit on the mileage, make sure that we're hitting all the recovery, the ice baths, those types of things.
We talked about the women a little bit. Let's talk about the men's side of the MIAA. Obviously, always tough. There's some of the regulars that are always near the top, but how does that race look to stand out?
Yeah, so I think last year we were 7th. Hopefully we'll be a little bit better than that this year. We do have a lot of younger athletes too, but we have 2 guys that have really stood out this year. Jarrett Fitzmeyer and Christian Dara have really done well. Fully expect them to be all conference if they run to their ability. So if the young people can step up, I think we'll be all right. We have 3 freshmen right now on our varsity, which is not usual. So hopefully those guys step up, but sometimes it's a little harder for the freshmen to step up to the 8K. It's a little bit harder on the men's side just because you're going up 3 kilometers. On the women's side, they go from a 5K to a 6K, so it's not quite the adjustment.
Yeah, and I know most of you coaches, you kind of have, okay, if we run to our capability and everybody else kind of does, we should finish here. What do you kind of slot your team going into this, and then what has to happen for you to do better?
So, that's a good question. I don't want to jinx ourselves.
Run faster?
But yeah, for sure. I think the main thing is just having confidence in your ability, because in a race, it's always going to hurt. If you run slow, it's going to hurt the same. But so the key is just have confidence in your ability, just be confident in what you can do. So on the girls side, we could run really well and either win it or get 5th, and on the guys side, I think if we run to our capabilities, we're looking at somewhere between 4th and 6th if we run according to our capabilities. So it depends on race day and the course. We haven't seen the course.
I was going to ask you about that.
It's a fairly new course. They've had a meet there the last few years, but it is a fairly new course. It's a little bit hillier. I think it might be a little bit like the Missouri course, just not quite as well manicured. So I think we're do well there, but just not sure about it. So
where do they run that at in St. Joe?
It's on the campus.
Okay.
I think it's on the east side of campus.
Okay.
So it is fairly hilly there in St. Joe.
All right. Well, that'll be coming up on Saturday. We did have a question for you. Do cross-country runners drafts, kind of like some bicyclists will do? Is that part of race strategy for cross-country runners?
Yeah, they do draft, and you see it more in track and field where they draft, especially on the stretch where you got a wind. So, yeah, that does help. Doesn't help as much as in cycling because you're not going as fast, but it does help a little bit. And what you see more often, and I tell my athletes this, you have to be in position wherever you want to be about on the women's side about 1.5 miles into the race, on the guy's side at least 2 miles in the race, because typically what you do is you end up running with your competition. And so you don't see that in track as much, but in cross country, no matter what pace you're going, you typically run with those people. So you kind of want to be in that position. For the women about 1.5 miles at least, and for the guys about 2, at least 2.5. I know Coach Krubb used to tell me you're not going to move up much after the halfway point. So you really have to be in good position early. And part of that's drafting, and part of that is just competing against the people you're around.
Yeah, I imagine that's a challenge, and especially you mentioned all the young guys especially. How fast a start do you get off to get yourself in a good position? And if you don't, how do you catch up? But, finding that fine balance of coming out of the blocks and how fast you started. You don't want to burn it all up in the
Yeah, and some people look like they come out of the blocks. They go super hard, and then you see them at the end of the race, and they're towards the back. So that's really the key, is you got to know your your ability, and so you want to go out probably a little bit above your ability, but you always want to have a little bit held back, because you get halfway, you still got a mile and a half, or you got 2.5 miles left. So you have to be smart with that. That's kind of the key to racing is the proper pacing.
And the women's side, they've had a great season. You got a lot of veterans. They've been through these before, and I would imagine you race in a lot of great venues against a lot of good competition, but when it's your conference meet and when it's a regional meet, it's like any postseason. They feel a little bit different, I would think, and you have to do you worry about getting too amped up, and just how you handle all of that.
Yeah, those are big time. The conference meet, people get really amped up, and you hear teams chanting for each other, and it gets loud, and there's more on the line than there is for an average meet. So you want to have that in the back of your mind, knowing that you're competing for something important, but you also want to be relaxed, because if you do get too amped up, you get stiff, you get stressed, you get a lot of anxiety, and that can cause poor performance. So we really want to keep that in check, and each individual is a little bit different. Some people step up and love that, and some people like a more relaxed attitude. And so that's kind of one of my goals as a coach, to try to figure out what athletes like what, and try to talk with them about that. So. All
right. Anything else you want to add?
Wish us luck, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, appreciate you joining us. Go get them in St. Joe, and then obviously regionals coming up. So you got some big meets here in the next few weeks, and hopefully it's a good run for your guys and gals.
Yeah, we're expecting some good things, so we hope things go well for us.
All right, appreciate it, Jason. Men will run at 10. The women run at 11 Saturday in St. Joe. That's Jason McCullough, cross-country coach at Fort Hays State University. Tiger Talk today brought to you by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis. Visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. We'll talk some volleyball next. This is the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Being a foster grandparent has definitely given me a purpose in life.
Just been so happy, just so much more energy than being at home alone doing nothing but watching TV. It's the best part of my life.
Best part of being a foster grandparent volunteer, watching the light up in the kids' eyes.
I'm living again, and the foster grandparent did that for me.
In motion goes Bogdan from right to left. Snap back to Dotson. He's under pressure. He's going down. Miles Menges the sack back on the 34-yard line. And Pitt State's going to have to punt here on 4th down. That was more of the action Saturday from Pittsburgh. We'll talk football with Coach Chris Brown here shortly, but right now we're talking volleyball with head coach Jessica Wood-Atkins. First, need to remind you the Tiger Talk is brought to you by BTI, your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. Volleyball splitting on the road, losing in 3 at number 13 Central Oklahoma last Thursday, then defeating Arkansas Fort Smith, the newbie to the MIAA, in 5. As we talked before we went on, you actually competed pretty well with the Broncos, and they're really, really good. And to prove it, they went on and swept Kearney after they played you. So shows you their quality, but a great bounce back to win at Arkansas Fort Smith. Just talk about the weekend and your team's play.
Yeah, I mean, we knew going in this was going to be a tough stretch, both with just playing the North right before then and then heading into probably the toughest 2 teams in the South. And so I think we were ready for it to be tough, but I think had worked through as our team. And we talked about last week, they've been going after our rookies, and we've got 5 that are getting a lot of playing time. And we had just a very candid conversation with them, about being consistent and being clean. And they've got all the skill in the world, but you've got to be consistent and clean, specifically against the top teams. And so I think that they took that to heart, and they played really well.
UCO, you talked about it being just so good defensively and hard to score, and especially the first 2 sets, you were right there with them. They kind of got you a little bit in the third and pulled away, but you had to be happy with your approach against a team that caliber and able to score some points against them.
Yeah, it was a tough match, and we did play well. But I think we talked offensively. Our offense was coming out firing, but it's going to take 5 swings to score, and that's true. Their libero is the best one in our conference, and and it's notable. But yeah, we switched gears in the third. We decided to go with a little bit more defense as opposed to the offensive, and it didn't produce as well as we had hoped it would. But I think overall we played really well.
How hard is that when, okay, you may have a good swing and they're going to defend it, and you have to keep, just to keep after it like that. It's got to be a little demoralizing when you think you make a good hit and it doesn't produce anything.
Yeah, I think that some people it motivates.
Yeah.
Some people it motivates definitely. Other ones they get a little bit frustrated, and I think it depends on the person. And I think our girls actually held up very well. What we needed to do was score just a little bit more out of that right side, and that just was not firing. And so I think had that, in the triangle of that offense, if that portion of the triangle had scored just a few more, it's a different ballgame.
Well, you don't win that one. You bounce back. First trip to Fort Smith, taking on the newcomer to the MIAA. And obviously, it went well. You got a 5-set victory against a really good opponent. You had to be happy with the bounce back, putting UCO behind them and just coming out and battling for 5 sets to get the victory.
Yeah, that we didn't know what to expect going down. We knew that they finished 4th in the Lone Star last year, and they returned most of everybody. And fortunately, we had seen them play in preseason, so we had a good feel for their style, having seen them play live. But yeah, I actually think we maybe could have taken the second set. We were poised to, but they shifted gears pretty quickly. And but their arena is huge. It's a really nice arena. They are a very good team. They're the top blocking team in our conference. And so I think we went in knowing what we had to do. But they had some not so friendly banter going on through the net. And we have nice girls, but you pick a fight with them and they'll fight back, and that definitely fueled our fire. There was definitely it was a fiery game, and Ashlyn Reeves, our middle, she'll make you smile and light up your day, but you do not want to make that girl angry, and they did. And so I think that she really led the charge with a lot of our girls of just getting after it, and they played lights out. I think every person on that team was firing, played lights out.
And you win the final 3 because you fell behind and dropped the first 2 sets, and on the road, back end of a road trip, that's not easy to do. It's easy to, we gave it our best and this is how it turned out, but for them to come back and win and then win a thriller 15-13 in the 5th says a lot about this team and just their perseverance, because that wasn't easy.
No, and they weren't having it. They felt disrespected, truthfully, and they weren't going to be disrespected. And but I think we actually had to make some adjustments that match, and I think that the people that we put in to make those shifts really came in and they brought a lot of fire. And when you can call on some subs and they come in and actually contribute, they're not just holding steady, but they're contributing in a big way. That says a lot about just the character of the girls, and I think that they're what's the word that I'm looking for? I just think their tenacity. Yeah. It's really, really strong this year.
Well, and Delaney Gish, I know he was one of your younger players you brought with you today. She had 4 service aces.
Yes,
and you talk about some of those subs coming off and not just holding their own but contributing. That's pretty big right there. And she's not the only one. You've got a lot of them, and that's exciting for the future of your program to see them stepping up and doing that at this young age.
Yeah, absolutely. I could point at a lot of our freshmen. Grace Schmedding led us with 23 kills and 17 digs, a little freshman, and Delaney Gish the same way, coming in and really pushing them offensively. And another one who kind of surprised us this weekend was Ella Goodwin, because Claire is still battling some injury, and that road trip hit her hard. Yeah. And we put Ella Goodwin in, and she was our top scorer as far as percentage goes. She came in and she just did a phenomenal job. And so, where they were picking on our freshmen came right back.
Well, it's good to see. Now, kind of a rare week. You just have the one match this week coming up against Nebraska Kearney on Friday. They're now number 6 in the nation after that loss. And if everybody remembers, you played them here. You really battled them. It's always a different story at their place. They'll have a lot of people there. It'll be a great environment, but your team's got to go into that with a lot of confidence that they can not only hang with them, but have a chance to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're excited for it. I mean, we only saw them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so that match is really fresh in our brain. Kind of weird to be playing them that close together. But at the same time, I think that helps from a scouting perspective, from a confidence perspective. And, yeah, they are susceptible right now. And so we're picking up some cues from other teams who have done some damage against them. And I think we did a fine job ourselves. So I think it's going to be a good match on Friday.
It's going to be a lot of fun. 6 o'clock on Friday. Of course, you can always watch it on the MIAA Network. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Great job this past weekend. And go get those Lopers.
Yes, sir. Thank
All right,
you.
there you go. Jessica Wood-Atkins, head volleyball coach at Fort Hays State, at number 6 Nebraska Kearney, coming up on Friday at 6. Hey, you can look your best on Tiger Game Day with official Nike gear from BSN Sports in the Sideline Store. Go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website, FHSUathletics.com. Click on Shop. You'll find hundreds of products and designs, and every item is customizable. So go to FHSUathletics.com, click on Shop, and open up the Tiger Team Store. We'll talk football with Chris Brown next. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at HaysPost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
And they're going to play action. Dotson to the middle. It's incomplete. Almost intercepted, or was it? No, they haven't indicated yet. Touchback. Tigers pick it off. Off the deflection. Kobe Rome in the back of the end zone. Yeah, another great play on Saturday. Tigers get a fumble recovery near the goal line and the pick in the end zone and come up 1 point short at Pittsburg State. Tiger Talk brought to you by the Taco Shop. You can order by phone, use the Taco Shop app, dine in, pick up, delivery. They're just east of the Fort Hays State campus on A Street. The Taco Shop, you've never had it so good. Joined by Coach Chris Brown, and so close. What a game Saturday. Unfortunately, and there were a lot of breaks both ways. They caught the last one with the tip and the interception, and it was late enough in the game that ended up being the winner. But you got to be so proud of your guys. I mean, they battled for 60 minutes with the number 7 team at the time, team in the country. And if anybody didn't know and just was watching, you probably couldn't tell who was ranked and who wasn't. You guys played so well, just came up 1 point short.
We did. We played well. You know, the games like that really, they hurt. You know, it's emotional after the game, and kids are crying and coaches are upset. And, you know, it's just one of those things. You get beat 24-0. It's embarrassing, but when you lose games like that, it's a heartbreaker, and it just kills you. But, you know, we got to overcome it and fight back, and that's what we need to do this week. But our kids played well. They played hard. They played physical. We made plays, you know, on both sides of the ball, and they just got a few more breaks than we did.
You talk about bouncing back. In fact, we had during the show, someone emailed us a question: the vibe of this team after a tough loss like that. How they doing?
They're ready. They came to work yesterday, and they're going to come to work today again. And, you know, they know that we still got a lot to play for. And, I mean, it's just a good group of young men that have great character and a great work ethic. And they're not going to let anything hold them back. That's just a group that's going to fight and compete every single day when they step on the field. And that's what we got yesterday, and that's what we'll get the rest of this week as well. And we'll have a good game on Saturday.
You have a game like that, you can break it down, and I mean, you could look at the interception late, but there are so many plays that could have gone either way, and so many things in a tight game like that. But your defense, and it's kind of been that way from day one with you and Coach Harris, the bend but not break, and you showed that on Saturday. They got some yards, they did some things, but you got a fumble recovery near the 1, you get the interception in the back of the end zone. Truly bend but not break defense Saturday.
Yeah, that's just kind of how we are. We don't want to give up the big play because the big plays lead to you know big points and things like that. So we want to make teams earn everything that they get, and hopefully they make a mistake. And in those two instances, they did. You know, they fumbled on the 1 and they threw the pick as well. So you know, it's hard to sustain those long drives and get points and not make a mistake or get some penalty holding call or something like that. And you know, we do it. That's just the way we've kind of always done it, Coach Harris and I. And we're going to continue. So just our defense is playing pretty well right now. I think our offense is playing well. We're doing well on special teams. Just got a couple bad breaks in that game. We didn't get the muff punt, which would have really helped us out, offensively to hopefully get some points on the board. And then, the tip pass at the end, usually those things go to the ground and then went straight up in the air. So just a few little things there that wish they would have bounced our way, but they didn't, and end up losing that one.
Yeah, if the muff punt, the ball goes any other direction, you probably recovered near midfield, and the tip, the receiver was open. The play was there, and you got to give the Pitt State defensive lineman credit. Got his hand up, kind of like Miles Menges has done so many times to bat it down. I want to ask you about time of possession, because we talked last week. Pitt was so good about, their offense doesn't put up big numbers, but they put up good numbers, but they just possess the ball, and they're hard to get off the field. We talked about the week before, they had the ball for 38 minutes against Kearney, and Lopers just never had enough possessions, and it was 20-10 at halftime, but you flipped that in the second half. What did you do differently to get them off the field and not let that offense just dictate that game all day long?
I think just, getting them in long situations as well. And our defense, getting some stops and making them punt, and then our offense really being able to establish the run game, in the second half, which was, not that it was a huge amount, but enough to keep them off the field as well. So it's just a mixture of offense, defense working together, and our special teams doing some good things too with pinning them deep, and just trying to find ways to keep them off the field and get our offense back on the field. But it was a great team effort. We end up coming up short. We win and lose together, and this team fought and competed. But it is every game right now. It's a group effort, and we just got to help each other out and go win ball games.
A couple of guys that stand out. Shane Watts. They actually amended the stats after we had left the stadium. They gave him 102 yards rushing. I think they had him for 97, but a tremendous job against a defense that is really good. They are a legit defense in the top 20, top 15 in the nation, and for him to get a 100-yard game, you ran it. I know you'd like to run it better, but you ran it well enough to kind of keep them off balance, and he was tough all day, and of course had the big touchdown run to get you on the board first.
Yeah, he did. He played well, and all that credit goes to our offensive line and even our receivers and tight ends blocking downfield, and everybody staying on their blocks and him seeing the hole and cutting through it. But they're hard to run against. With all the different fronts that they give you, with the 3-man front, the 5-man front, bringing different blitzes and things like that. I thought our guys did a really good job of picking those things up. The things that I wish I could take back was all the sacks that they got against us, which put us in bad situations, and some of those are our quarterback's fault as well. But we just got to keep some pressure off of him and give him a little bit more time, and he's going to complete some more of those passes.
Yeah, a lot of guys on defense make big plays. Mikel Williams, you brought him here to Tiger Club. Hopefully, folks, we should have brought him up here just to have people. Well, just to have. Obviously, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
no. But you talk to him. He is about the most mild-mannered guy you have on your team, and then you watch him on Saturdays. Obviously, he's figured out how to turn the switch on, because we've had a chance to visit Mikel. You talk to him in real life, he's quiet, doesn't say much, very unassuming, but he isn't that way on the field. He was everywhere making plays Saturday afternoon, as were others.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the most mild-mannered on the field.
Well, yes. We all have known that for a long time.
So, no, he is.
There's side judges around the conference who will concur.
Yep. No, yeah, that is for sure. No, he's just a great young man. He does things the way they're supposed to be done. I'm going to graduate here. He's already graduated, actually working on his master's right now. But just, a great leader of our team, and he's very humble. He's very quiet, but when he needs to speak up, he speaks up. But when he steps on the football field, he flips the switch and turns into a different person, which we want all of our kids to do. And when he's back, when the game's over, he's back to same old Mikel, just a good kid and cares about people and cares about his teammates and his brothers, and he's going to do anything he can to help his team win and be there for him and support them.
We'll talk about him and the rest of the seniors here in just a little bit, but wanted to point him out since he's here with us today at Tiger Club, but it's been fun to watch him play. Tiger Athletics, proud to partner with Kansas Drive to Zero Coalition. They encourage you to join Kansas fans with a plan. Always have a designated driver or other sober ride to and from your destination. It's Senior Day on Saturday. Final home game, Missouri Southern comes to town. We'll talk about the Lions when we return for our final segment here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
When it comes to screen printing and embroidery, your first choice should be Redeem Designs in Hayes. Turn it up with Redeem Designs, where it's not just about the products, it's about the partnership. At Redeem Designs, you're part of the process. They work closely with you to ensure your vision comes to life. So turn up your 2024-25 season with Redeem Designs.
clock down to 2. There's the snap. Heaver to throw. He's got time. Throws it near side. Jaden Horace to catch at the 20. Breaks the tackle. 15. Angles 10. 5. Touchdown! Fort Hays State. 34 yards from Heaver to Jaden Horace on 4th and 11. And the Tigers grab or add to the lead now 13-6 with 3:45 to go in the third. Yeah, some of the action from Saturday. Tiger Talk today brought to you by the HaysMed Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. Let the experts at HaysMed Orthopedic Institute help you move freely. Learn more at haysmed.com/orthopedics. Yeah, big play there, and I think you even overcame a holding penalty, which we've talked about it. Those have been killers at times. Some of those penalties, you've cut down dramatically on that. But to overcome that, score on 4th down, that was a big-time play. And boy, Jaden's been more involved here the last 3-4 games, and it's made a big impact on this offense.
It really has. I mean, he's really stepped up these last few weeks and done some great things for us offensively. But him and Caleb are together constantly in the film room, watching things together and going through different concepts that we have offensively and going through coverages and those things too. So when you get on the same page, good things happen. And when quarterbacks know exactly where the receiver is going to be and the receiver knows exactly where the quarterback wants him, great plays usually happen. And in that instance, that it worked out well for us and made a guy miss and got vertical and scored. And that's something we've been working on him with, is getting vertical, and he's starting to do those things. And he's had a great 3 weeks.
No doubt about that, and the offense has certainly picked up as well. All right, it's senior day. It seems kind of strange, late October. Feels like usually it's more in November, but the way the schedule is and the Week 10 bye, that it's senior day on Saturday. And it's a big group. They've obviously been through a lot. Some of them 5-year guys. Some of them have been 6-year guys with the extra year for COVID. But I know a group that means a lot to you, and they've meant so much of this program, kind of elevating Fort Hays State football back to the top of the conference like you had been for so many years.
Yeah, it's a special group. There's going to be 23 guys that we recognize on Saturday, and they're all very dear to my heart, and they mean so much to me. They've done just so much for this program. I've been through some ups and downs, and they brought us back to where we need to be. And I believe in these guys and trust them that they're going to finish this season out strong and do some great things with this season as well. But they are a good group. They're all going to graduate from college. They're all going to get good jobs. I'm going to see them being great fathers and being great husbands as well. Here in the future, and they're also men of God as well, which is awesome to see too. So very proud of them and very thankful that they're on my football team.
All right, Missouri Southern, the Lions come to town, just one win. I know they've had, kind of like you did a few years ago, they've had a lot of injuries. Running back out, one of their top receivers is out. They've had some other guys go down in and out of the lineup throughout the year, and that's kind of led to the record. But the challenge of a game like this, you're coming off a heartbreaker. It's a team that has struggled to stay focused, take care of the task at hand, and not overlook someone like that with a couple of big ones coming up the rest of the way.
It all starts in practice, right, and through meetings and preparation and things like that. So we got to make sure that we stay on top of our guys, and they're in the film room. They're listening to the play calls. They're executing in practice. They're playing hard in practice. They're giving great effort, and if we do those things, we'll be fine. But they are a good football team. I mean, their record doesn't really show who they are, but they have had a lot of injuries, and you never know. Some of those guys might come back, for this game as well. So I know they're missing their big tight end, number 5, who is a tremendous athlete, and he's been banged up in a couple of games, but he might be back this week as well. So we have to be prepared for him. But it's all about us and us taking care of ourselves and doing things that we need to do to win this ball game and go win this game for our seniors.
Well, that becomes the key. It's really for some of the younger guys. I mean, that becomes, I would guess, goal number 1: send these guys out on a winning note on their home field.
Absolutely. I mean, they've done so much for this program, and they represent us well, and they have great character, and they show these young kids how our program works and what we're about and what our culture's like as well. So I can't thank these seniors enough for all they've done, but I'm glad we got a few more with them after this.
All right, sounds good. Chris, as always, we appreciate it, and looking forward to Saturday afternoon.
Thanks, Gerard.
Chris Brown, coach of the Tigers, Fort Hays State, Missouri Southern. That is a 1 o'clock kick Saturday afternoon. Get there early, about 12:30 for Senior Day festivities before the game. Then at halftime, the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame inductees will be introduced to the crowd. Hope to see you out there. If you can't make it, we'll have it on the Tiger Sports Network and Tiger Radio Mix 103.3 beginning at noon. That'll wrap up the program. Glad to have you with us today. We'll talk to you next week right here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus.